It's time for match 42. It's time for the Melbourne Derby, the Renegades against the Stars. Let's build our fantasy team on my 11 Circle Fantasy Pick on ESPNcricinfo. I'm Ronak Kapoor and Andrew Mcglashan is all set to join me. Right, let's go to our pro tip before I head across to Andrew in Sydney. And Glenn Maxwell is the top run getter and Adam Zampa the top wicket taker at the Melbourne Cricket Ground in this year's Big Bash League. Both are therefore must-haves in your team. It does seem like there are going to be lots of Stars players in this team, Manasha.
Yes, I know the rules doesn't allow us to pick a full 11 from one side, but given the opposition, that may be tempting in this game. But yeah, those two top picks are always worth having. Adam Zampa bagged 5 wickets in his last outing, so he's in terrific form. So you can't go too far wrong with those two players.
All right. Well, the key is going to be which Renegades players feature into this team. So we'll pick Nash's brains on that in just a second. Let's go to some player availability news for all of you. Now, Haris Rauf is a bit of a rock star, isn't he, for the Melbourne Stars? He may not be available for the rest of the season after he was picked in Pakistan's Test squad for the South Africa series. Now, we can't tip you off about any more player availability at the time of recording, but do check in closer to the toss and confirm your playing 11s only after seeing the 11s of the teams. Let's go to our team. Before that, a quick reminder of the My 11 Circle Fantasy app. 100 credits for every user to build their fantasy team. 4 categories of players to choose from: batsmen, bowlers, wicket-keepers, and all-rounders. Every player's individual credit value is listed on the app. You can pick a maximum of 7 players from one team in any given contest, and we'll throw in 4 substitute options for you towards the end of this video as well. Our top picks feature Glenn Maxwell as captain. Our pro tip gave it away, didn't it? After consecutive doubts, we were expecting the Melbourne Stars captain to come good, and he went big in the last game with the 28 ball 37, but also with a couple of wickets in his 4 overs. He gets you points with bat and ball. He's been destructive in the middle order, and when he goes big, he can get you some serious points. Vice captain choice is Shaun Marsh. So there's a Renegades option for you. Even though he missed a couple of games earlier this season, he's still the leading scorer in this year's Big Bash for his side. 247 runs at a strike rate of just over 136. Against the Melbourne Stars, Shaun Marsh has scored over 350 runs in 7 games. Excellent average, 450 plus scores. That's a strong reason why he makes it as vice captain. Maxwell and Marsh as captain and vice captain. They give you double and 1.5 times the points respectively. Top picks features Marcus Stoinis. As always, whenever the Melbourne Stars play, we're going to keep last year's leading run scorer. He's shown glimpses of that destructive form that he hit last season, this season as well. And the Melbourne Derby also happens to be his favourite fixture in the Big Bash. He scored 210 runs in 6 games and dismissed just the twice. Adam Zampa is there too, the best spinner of the Big Bash season last year, and 20 wickets in 12 games in last year's Big Bash. He's also been the best spinner this season, 17 wickets in just 8 games at an average of under 12. Peter Hadzoglou is there too, so here's another spin option for you. He's been in top form in his debut BBL season, 12 wickets in 9 games at an average of just over 22, and he did have a couple of disappointing outings but came back well to pick up 5 in his last 2 outings. So Glenn Maxwell is captain, Shaun Marsh is vice captain, Marcus Stoinis, Adam Zampa, and Peter Hadzoglou. Nasha, what do you make of those?
Yeah, they all make perfect sense. I mean, it would be tempting, I think, on current form to maybe go with a double header, captain, vice captain from the Stars, and promote Adam Zampa to one of those extra point scoring spots that you have. But you're right with Shaun Marsh. He rarely goes too many games without a significant score, and he has been in good form this season. So yeah, you can't go far wrong with those players you've named there.
All right, let's go to some differential picks now, see who else we can squeeze in from the Renegades. And we know that Kane Richardson tends to be a safe bet whenever the Melbourne Renegades play. He's the leading wicket taker for them in this year's Big Bash, 13 wickets in 10 games, and has been one of the very few positives for the Melbourne Renegades. He's also got 11 wickets in 10 games against the Stars, so that's not a decent track record against this opposition. Andre Fletcher now features in our differential picks after that extraordinary effort in the last game against the Adelaide Strikers. He did manage that magnificent 89 not out of 49 and what we believe was a tricky wicket. Expect him to continue this fine form at home. Kane Richardson and Andre Fletcher among our differential picks. Our full team sees Sam Harper as a keeper option from the Renegades. Shaun Marsh is our recommended vice captain. Andre Fletcher, Jake Fraser-McGurk, and Nick Maddinson as some batting options. There's Glenn Maxwell, Marcus Stoinis and Bo Webster. Maxwell, of course, is our captain recommendation. Adam Zampa, Kane Richardson, and Peter Hadzoglou. Nasha says Zampa could be a very tempting vice-captain option. Substitutes bench sees the likes of Zahir Khan, Aaron Finch, Hilton Cartwright, and Big Billy Stanley. Now, Cartwright could replace Nick Maddinson in an alternate scenario. Nasha, would you go that way? And any other swaps or thoughts you'd like to leave our viewers with?
Yeah, I was going to mention Cartwright. He struck them pretty well in the last game when the Stars went really strong in the back end of their innings with that innings you mentioned by Andre Fletcher. The other name there, and I know we spoke about him on another edition of this, was seeing Aaron Finch nod in a top 11 sort of first choice picks for this. He hasn't had the best tournament. Renegades are trying to do some funky things with their batting order, which aren't quite working, and it means he came in at number 4 in the last game. But you still got to think that Australia's T20 captain will find some runs at some point. So you may want to consider him in your 11 if you're feeling a bit brave.
All right, Nasha, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts. Plenty more from you as the Big Bash continues to roll on. Make sure you check in with team news and playing 11s and confirm your fantasy team. We'll be back with plenty more on my 11 Circle Fantasy Pick on ESPNcricinfo right through the Big Bash.